Yeah, it's kind of. Please fill in the seats closest to the center, if at all possible. Thank you. Good morning. Please be seated and turn to page 4 in your liturgy books. Excuse me. Please turn to page 2. Gatha of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me, since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me, since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me, since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The Five Remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers. For the lineage of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May this, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Today's reading is on page 34, Secrets on Cultivating the Mind. If people aspire to the path of Buddhahood while obstinately holding to their feeling that Buddha is outside the mind or the Dharma is outside the nature, then even though they pass through kalpas as numerous as dust motes, burning their bodies, charring their arms, crushing their bones, and exposing their marrow, even though they write sutras in their own blood, never lying down to sleep, eating only one offering a day in the early morning, or even though they study the entire Triptaka and cultivate all sorts of aesthetic practices, this is like trying to make rice by boiling sand. It will only add to their tribulation. If you would understand your own mind, then without searching, approaches to the Dharma as numerous as the sands of the Ganges would all be understood. As the world-honored one said, I see that all sentient beings everywhere are endowed with the Tathagata's wisdom and virtue. He also said, all the illusory guises in which sentient beings appear take shape in the sublime mind of the Tathagata's complete enlightenment. Consequently, you should know that outside this mind there is no Buddhahood which can be attained. All the Buddhas of the past were merely persons who understood their minds. All the sages and saints of the present are likewise merely persons who have cultivated their minds. All future meditators should rely on this Dharma as well. I hope you who cultivate the path will never search outside. The nature of the mind is unstained. It is originally whole and complete in itself. If you will only leave behind false conditioning, you will be such, like the Buddha. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, practicing deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness, no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without thought, without no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and proclaim gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Gate para gate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Gate gate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds, and dedicated in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the Great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate the merits of our practice to Cindy Marsh, Cecilia, Bill Priggle, Dave Hotmanel, as well as those names we hold in the silence of our hearts and those we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita. Please prepare for Zazen. now move into walking meditation. The first and third rows will turn to the right. Second and fourth turn to the left. We'll now recite the Sangha Covenant. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for this morning's talk and sit so you can make eye contact with the teacher. Gatha on opening the sutra, the Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for making the pilgrimage to this village that we all create together. Does it not feel that we're like up in some secluded mountain or something? Sometimes I feel that way. Maybe it's because I know that the site of the temple here is the highest point, and the rest of the temple grounds, it just goes down, and there's a gully down there. But I always feel elevated and in some way grounded being here. And it's a quality that I really value in our Sangha. I feel that our practice and our way together is incredibly grounding, incredibly centering, in a time when it's very difficult for many of us to find anything close to being centered or being grounded. After all, with all of the troubles, all of the challenges, not just our personal catastrophes, which are legion, but the crisis in Ukraine and Russia and Black History Month, the injustice that needs to be recognized, and the economic disparities, and on and on and on. I mean, in the midst of all of this, after you've lived long enough to realize that even when you win at what you're trying to do, something is still quite lacking. when you can no longer pretend it's just about achieving your goals in the world and that will make it all work. What then? What then? Where do we find some place of being grounded? And how can we connect to the ground? And at the same time, how can we be grounded and be elevated and lifted, ennobled, dignity? The worth and dignity of each of us is no joke. And it has nothing to do with IQ or musical ability or bank account balance or any of these markers. Relationship, career, forget it. Those are all wonderful unless they're horrible. But how about your true dignity and worth? Where can it be found? Because clearly we can find our fellow creatures that have attained the heights in all those various measures, and they're not very noble, are they? Somehow that doesn't guarantee it. And some of them might be, that could well be, but that's not the factor. What is the factor that matters? How do we become truly grounded and truly elevated? I asked Doan Osho this day to spend the first chunk of our liturgy continuing on with her transcription practice, her scribing of the transmission scrolls. This is a very rare occasion. This is a very unique moment in the community, right? This is where we see the Dharma transmitting from one to the next. And this is a pointer, not just for those few people who will have to deal with the frustrations of a silk scroll and bleeding pens, but for all of us who take up the practice, whether it's your first time in this space or you're the oldest hand on deck. What does it mean to really inherit the Dharma for real? Our teacher today, Chanol, is one of the wondrous voices from the Korean practice traditions. In his teaching here, Secrets on Cultivating the Mind, he said, if people aspire to the path of Buddhahood while obstinately holding to their feeling that the Buddha is outside the mind or the Dharma is outside their nature, then even though they pass through endless ages, as numerous as the dust motes on all the corners of all the houses in all the world. If they do, and then there's this really scary list, burning their bodies, charring their arms, crushing their bones, exposing their marrow. This is pointing to extreme asceticism. This sort of place we can get to where it's like, you know what? Everything is a trap. Everyone is my enemy. Even this body I will fight. And this, it can become a maneuver many of our fellow Homo sapiens have fallen into. Somehow the answer must be to punish this, make an enemy of it, subdue it, crush it, and then my spirit will reign somehow. And the Buddha tried. And in typical overachiever fashion, he damn near killed himself. And found that, you know what, this just sucks. This doesn't help anything. This is just painful. And so Chanol here is saying these extreme moves, even though they write sutras in their own blood, never lying down to sleep, eating only once a day in the early morning, or they study the entire triptych. So now he shifts gears from asceticism to scholarship, right? So if you try all the asceticisms and make an enemy of your life, that will not work for you. If you try to study everything ever written, the entire triptych, the triptych is it's like the three baskets. There's the suttas, there's the Vinaya, the moral and ethical guidelines, the monastic code, and the Abhidharma, which is sort of like the theory behind the sutras kind of thing. Even if you mastered every detail of all these arcane knowledges or whatever, still, and cultivate all kinds of sort of ascetic practices, this is still trying to make rice by boiling sand. What a fantastic image. Still, you're trying to make rice by boiling sand. And you know, there's a little bit of a funny eddy that people can get into where they get this in their feeling that, oh, it's all one, it's all the Dharma, it's all good, everything is it, no worries. But that is not what you really see. That's not the complete picture that you see when you really encounter the teachings. It is quite possible to try and make it wrong. It is quite possible to get this human life wrong, to live in a way that leaves behind yourself a wake of suffering and distress within you, around you, behind you. This is not acceptable. We can do much, much better than this. Trying to make rice by boiling sand will never work. And some of us have to eat a lot of sand before we'll believe it. It's got to be right. It's got to work. More num num. No, I'm sure. That's what I heard when I was a kid. It must be true. More num num num. But if I don't do this, I'll be punished by God. Num num. Over and over and endlessly, right? The worst of all is when we have ourselves in our own trap. When we're afraid to say, look, this is actually sand and I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to be able to actually be mindful of what your experience actually is and trust it. If you're chewing this thing and it's gouging up your teeth and it's giving you intestinal distress and it's just not going the right way, please pay attention to this. Mindfulness is not just disappearing into the moment in some state elsewhere or something. It's about paying attention to what is actually so and adjusting, connecting with your experience, trusting your experience, and having the practice as a guide to know how to adjust. Does this make sense? So it's not just quiescence, it's not just giving up, it's not abdicating yourself of concern. Not acceptable. We have to learn how to cook good rice. Unless you're going keto and then you do that. Or whatever your diet plan is, it's all good. But you have to learn to actually tell when the meal you're taking in is not good for you. You must listen to your body and let your body tell you, this is hurting us, this is hurting me, this is not good. And even if it's what's on display constantly, if it's what parents and priests and teachers and society has told you over and over, this is what you must eat, if you eat it, dear one, and it hurts you, please stop. This is why I'm constantly saying, trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. And on the other hand, if you take a meal and you find it delightful and you find it nourishing and you find it helping, not that grief is something you're immune to anymore or that sadness will never visit you. Clearly, this is not the case. How do you grieve and how do you mourn and how do you engage in a broken world as Buddha? The Buddha of you, which no one else can do. It begins with being able to understand the taste of sand when you're tasting it. And if you haven't noticed yet, I'm not just talking about food. Okay? If it were that easy. What habits of mind have we that are pure sand? What way of using the mind do we cherish that actually we kind of know deep inside are not good for us? The one thing that happens when you settle down enough to sit zazen, first the body has to learn to settle and be still. And that's a project. And then the real work, mind, right? And as you begin to settle, and as you begin to be able to see deeper into your experience, it takes a great deal of courage. The instinct is to get up and bolt. I know that. The instinct is anything but this. Isn't there a nice sand shop somewhere we can go get a sandwich? Well, just settle down, please. Please be still. Please be still. Silence, stillness. Not forever, not because there's anything wrong with the zip and zing of the city. I love it. But for a time and for a purpose, understand the intimacy of silence and stillness. Because that's where you can start to really feel your own truth without the push and pull of all these other things. I think it was very common for our ancient ancestors, in the midst of the lives that they lived, to very much connect with nature, obviously, and to very much connect with stillness, and then movement, and then stillness. Somehow we've created ourselves our own artificial environment where if we want, we can have full daylight anytime we want it. Sometimes a good thing, sometimes not such a good thing. Recognizing the taste of sand. This is what the moral and ethical teachings are about. When we're addicted to sand, we can't tell it's hurting us. You must settle down. Start listening to yourself. Trust yourself. You already know. You really do. The moral and ethical teachings in Buddhism are not based on judgment from an outside source. There's no massive invisible friend judging everything and keeping score. And at the end, you go this way or that. It's not like that in the Dharma. In the Dharma, we have to realize oneness. We have to realize that all things are the same no thing. And then not be satisfied with that. Because then every expression of no thing is a thing. You have oneness and you have diversity. You know, at this moment I'm talking and you're listening. And another moment that'll completely change. At this moment I'm in these clothes, and a little while later I'll be in jeans. They're not the same. Sand is not rice. And yet sand and rice do have the same nature. It's true. So what to do? Harmony. Sangha means harmony. How do we make harmony with all of this difference? We have to realize the oneness, and we have to not attach to it. If you would understand your own mind, then, without searching, approaches to the Dharma as numerous as the sands of the Ganges would be understood. All of them. This is a generous pointer. Sometimes you can think, oh, I must do Vipassana training. No, I must do Samatha training. No, I must do Tantra training. That sounds cool. No, I must do koans. That's the juice. No. I must trek mountains. That's it, yes. No. I have to deep sea dive. That's what it is. On and on and on and on. But if you were to actually realize yourself at once, all of those various means and methods are completely understood and seen through in an instant. It's like when you can actually play music, you can play whatever tune. It's something like that. when you're very beginning at an instrument, you feel delighted you can get anything to work. And there's something very unique that you can actually play this Smoke on the Water riff and get it to sound something like right. It's like, whoa, I did it. I win. And you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know why it works. You just know it sounds good, right? But, later, you can play all kinds of things. And it doesn't just have to be that one tune. But you have to get in somehow. So if you just scatter around and try 30 seconds worth of all these different tunes, you'll never be able to play. Isn't it like that? Somewhere you have to settle down and actually learn the instrument. In this case, realize your mind. Realize yourself. As the world-honored one said, I see that all sentient beings everywhere are endowed with the Tathagata's wisdom and virtue. This, dear one, means you. It means you. You are endowed with the Tathagata's wisdom and compassion. You do not need to look outside yourself at all for it.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it.
I'm not sure, but I feel like I got a standing ovation there.
That concludes this morning's service. Are there any announcements? I don't know.
Good morning. I just want to remind everybody of the grand opening event on April 23rd. If you haven't gotten your invitation opened or RSVP'd, please do. We look forward to seeing you all there. That's for all of those who are joining us remotely too. Please check.
And before that event, is this on? Before that event will be an auspicious event on March 13th for Kaishin's ordination. Invitations to that will be going out probably next week, so please don't get them confused. Please respond to that invitation also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Please restore the Zendo.
You see the liturgy team for a second up by the altar for a short chat. Very short.